In the last 3 years, over 200 books have been published about how AI will transform your industry, save your career, fix healthcare, solve climate change, and generally rescue us from ourselves. Almost all of them were written by people who have a financial stake in you believing that. I'm not saying they're lying, I'm saying something more interesting than that. I'm saying the optimism is structural. It's baked into who gets book deals, who gets speaking fees, who gets cited in boardrooms. The AI salvation narrative isn't just a story people tell, it's a story that pays. Today, we're not looking at one book. We're doing something more useful. We're dissecting the genre. Because once you see the template, you can't unsee it. And you'll read every AI business book differently after this. The AI will save us genre has a clear origin point. You can trace it roughly to 2017, when AI started becoming legible to a general business audience, when you could say machine learning in a board meeting without getting blank stares. Publishers noticed that AI books sold. Speakers' bureaus noticed that AI optimists filled rooms. Conference organizers noticed that apocalyptic panic drove ticket sales, but optimistic roadmaps drove corporate sponsorships. And so a genre crystallized. It has recognizable features, a structure, a set of rhetorical moves, a cast of recurring characters. McKinsey partners, Stanford professors, former Google executives, the occasional reformed skeptic who saw the light. My thesis today is simple. The AI Will Save Us book is not primarily a work of analysis, it's a product. And like every product, it's designed to serve the interests of the people selling it, not just the people buying it. That's not cynicism, that's just reading the incentives correctly. Let's do that. What the genre actually says. To be fair to these books, and I want to be because the Steelman matters, they're not making things up. The core arguments are real arguments held by serious people. Here's what the genre at its best is actually claiming. Argument 1. AI is a general-purpose technology like electricity or the internet. This is the foundational historical analogy that almost every optimistic AI book reaches for. The logic is, electricity seemed threatening to workers in 1900. The internet seemed like it would destroy retail in 1995. Both created far more jobs and prosperity than they eliminated. AI is the same kind of transition, just faster. It's a legitimate argument. Eric Brynjolfsson at Stanford makes it carefully. There's real economic history behind it. The question isn't whether the analogy exists. It's whether it's doing the work these books need it to do. Argument 2. AI augments humans rather than replacing them. This is the centaur argument, named after the chess experiments where human plus AI teams beat pure AI systems. The idea is that the winners won't be AI, they'll be people who know how to work with AI. Your job isn't under threat. Your job is evolving. The workers who get left behind are the ones who refuse to adapt, not the ones who engage. Again, there's something real here. Some jobs genuinely do get augmented rather than eliminated. The argument isn't false, it's selectively true. Argument 3. The risks are manageable with the right frameworks. Every optimistic AI book has a chapter on risk. It has to. If it didn't, it would be too easy to dismiss. So you get chapters on bias, on transparency, on governance, on the importance of human oversight. These chapters are usually well written and correct in their specifics. What they share is a consistent conclusion. The risks are real but solvable. The institutions we need are buildable, and the people best positioned to build them are, conveniently, people who think like the author. That's the genre in good faith. Smart people making real arguments. Now let's look at what the structure is hiding. Critique 1. The missing variable in every historical analogy. The electricity comparison is the most important rhetorical move in the genre, so it deserves the most scrutiny. Here's what it leaves out. The transition from pre-electric to electric economy took 60 years and was accompanied by extraordinary social violence, mass unemployment, labor movements, 2 world wars, the New Deal. The 8-hour workday didn't happen because industrialists thought it was a good idea. It happened because of decades of organized political pressure and occasionally literal riots. When optimistic AI books say electricity created more jobs than it destroyed, they're telling you the destination. They're quietly omitting the journey. And they're omitting it because the journey is the part that's actually relevant to the people reading the book right now in this economy, facing this disruption. The historical analogy proves the long run. It says nothing useful about the next 10 years, and 10 years is the only time frame that matters to most of the people buying these books. Critique 2. The vested interest problem. Let's talk about who writes these books. The author profile is remarkably consistent. Former executive at a major tech company, current partner at a venture fund or management consultancy, board member at 2 or 3 AI startups, keynote speaker at $50,000 per appearance. Now ask, what would it cost this person professionally to write a genuinely ambivalent book about AI? What happens to the speaking fees if the message is, it's complicated and the risks might outweigh the benefits for most workers? What happens to the venture portfolio if the narrative shifts? I want to be precise here because this is where critics often overclaim. I'm not saying these authors are lying. I'm saying their professional ecosystems make certain conclusions more available to them than others. The optimism isn't manufactured, it's genuine. And that's almost more dangerous because it's not detectable as bias. It just looks like expertise. The tell is in what gets a full chapter and what gets a paragraph. Productivity gains get chapters. Wage distribution gets a paragraph. New job categories get chapters. The specific workers whose jobs don't come back get a paragraph. Every book about how AI will create new jobs is oddly vague about which jobs, for whom, and when. Critique 3. The internal contradiction at the heart of the augmentation argument. Here's the one that bothers me most because it's hiding in plain sight. The AI augments humans argument and the AI will transform entire industries argument are both in these books, often in adjacent chapters. Nobody seems to notice that they're in tension. If AI genuinely augments human workers, makes them more productive, more capable, more creative, then you need roughly the same number of humans to do the same amount of work. You just do it faster and better. But if AI transforms entire industries, rewrites how legal research works, how medical diagnosis works, how financial analysis works, then you don't need the same number of humans. You need far fewer. The work doesn't expand to fill the capacity. The capacity expands to eliminate the work. Both things can't be fully true at the same time. Optimistic AI books want the emotional comfort of the augmentation argument and the dramatic sweep of the transformation argument. They need both to sell. But they can't consistently have both, and they rarely try to resolve the contradiction. Critique 4. The evidence problem in the risk chapters. The governance and risk chapters in these books are, almost without exception, wishful thinking dressed as analysis. The argument is, we know AI has risks, we need regulation, we need oversight, we need diverse teams building these systems, we need ethics review boards. All true, all correct. And then, this is the move, the author expresses confidence that these things will happen or are happening, or are at least directionally moving toward happening. On what basis? The actual track record of tech self-regulation is not encouraging. Social media platforms promised for 15 years that they were working on the harmful content problem. Algorithmic hiring tools discriminated by race for years before anyone outside the companies knew they existed. GDPR passed in 2018, and American data regulation still doesn't exist at a federal level. The optimistic AI book needs you to believe that this time the institutions will work. It needs that belief, because without it, the whole framework collapses. But it rarely offers evidence for that belief beyond the general sense that smart people are aware of the problem. Awareness is not a governance mechanism. Awareness is the beginning of one. What this genre genuinely gets right. These books correctly identify that AI is not a bubble in the way that crypto or NFTs were. The underlying technology is real, the capability improvements are real, and the deployment into high-stakes domains is already happening. Any framework that lets you dismiss AI entirely is failing you. The better books in the genre, and there are better and worse, also do something valuable. They give non-technical people a vocabulary for asking sharper questions in boardrooms and policy meetings. That's not nothing. A well-read non-technical executive asking, "What's the training data provenance here?" is more useful than one who nods along. What this genre gets wrong, or won't say. The structural optimism means these books are systematically incapable of telling you what to do if you're one of the people who doesn't make it through the transition intact. The implicit assumption is that the reader is the kind of person who adapts successfully, because the reader is the kind of person who buys business books. The 40-year-old logistics coordinator who can't afford to retrain doesn't appear in these books, except as a policy problem to be solved by someone else. The genre also can't tell you what to do when the institutions fail, because the genre's resolution depends on the institutions succeeding. There's no chapter called "What to Do If the Governance Frameworks Don't Materialize in Time." There's no plan B, who should read these books, and how read one. Probably Brynjolfsson's The Technology Trap or something in that vein. The ones with actual economic history behind them, not the ones that are essentially extended TED Talks. Read it the way you'd read a very smart lawyer's opening argument. Take the evidence seriously, interrogate the framing, and remember that you're only getting one side's best case. Don't read 3 of them. They converge. You're not getting new information after the first one, you're just getting more comfortable with a particular worldview. That comfort is the product. That's exactly what they're selling. So here's the question this whole genre refuses to ask. What if the transition is real, and the benefits are real, and it still goes badly for most people? Not because anyone did anything wrong, not because the technology failed, but because good for productivity and good for workers are not the same sentence and haven't been reliably the same sentence for at least 40 years of economic history. The AI Will Save Us book cannot ask that question, because the answer might be, it saves some of us. And that's not a book anyone in the current ecosystem is incentivized to write, publish, market, or buy. Which means the most important AI book probably hasn't been written yet. Or if it has, it didn't get the deal. Or it got the deal and got buried because it didn't have a clean, hopeful cover and a 5-step framework and a foreword by someone whose name you recognize. That's the book I'd like to read. If you find it, tell me where you found it.